I was missing out on thousands of dollars per week in our pest control business by overlooking this very simple but very impactful part of our sales process. Now, what is this process, you might be asking? This process is simple. It's just lead tracking. So obviously, if you've been in business for more than a couple seconds, you probably heard of lead management, lead tracking, things of that nature. But what really is lead tracking and how can it actually impact your business? So first and foremost, when it comes to lead tracking, we have to understand why we need to track the leads in the first place in our sales process. This is because on average, it takes about 7 touch points, sometimes more, sometimes a little less, depending on your industry, to actually close a customer on your product or service. So what does it mean for those of us that offer home services? This means that whenever somebody calls us and they're just pricing around, this means you're probably gonna have to follow up with them at least once or twice or 3 times or 10 times in some cases before you finally close them, or they just block you altogether. Now, obviously, we're not aiming to get blocked. We don't want to be unethical or anything like that. And I have some content on this channel already about how we like to follow up and word our follow-ups without using the words follow up. I'll have a lot more videos on just how our sales process is for you guys here in the future as well. But just know, in most cases, it's going to take multiple attempts for you to close a sale. So first things first, the most important part of lead tracking is having a CRM that makes lead tracking easy for you. Now, for those of you in the pest control industry, or the home service industry, I should say, for that matter, you guys know that we suggest GorillaDesk. Of course, we've been using them for 4 or 5 years now on this channel. And believe it or not, because I'm not very critical of the platform, it's gotten better and better over the years, and they haven't raised the price really at all. But one thing I have always been a little bit hypercritical of is the fact that, like, lead management, tracking churn, things of that nature, they have been kind of behind the ball on. But recently, over the last, I would say 6 to 12 months, that has improved drastically. I'll put like a screenshot somewhere around here for you guys to see kind of an enlarged version, if possible, without exposing customer information, on just how you can actually go through a lead funnel process in GorillaDesk now. But other tools that are going to make this much easier, of course, are ones that we mentioned on this channel before, like CallRail. And then, of course, you're going to use a tool like Zapier and ChatGPT to kind of connect everything all together, just so it's less work for you. And then from there, it's as simple as using your Google Calendar, guys. I love using Google Calendar, especially now that we can actually link it with our GorillaDesk calendar, because ever since I hired our first full-time technician, what I like to do is I like to get up pretty early in the morning, because I have little ones, usually between 4 to 5 a.m. And then that first roughly like 3, ideally even 6 hours of the day, I am just hammering out a bunch of office work. And part of that time is etched out for specifically following up, not just with leads, but also following up with past customers that have had services with us. And by putting it on my calendar and being hyper focused about dedicating a few hours per week, not even per day, just per week, to following up with old customers, following up with leads. Just within the last 2 weeks, we have increased our total sales year to date by over 30%, and our closing rate overall has gone up by about 10% as well. Now, I'm not going to solely say that our closing rate has gone up just because of following up specifically, because of course, one of the main reasons for hiring a full-time employee in the first place was because I was missing so many phone calls over the last 1 to 2 years. And by the time I would get back to a customer, even within a couple minutes in some cases, or in some cases an hour, or even later that day, or heaven forbid even the next day, customers were moving on to the next company. So I'm sure that percentage, a lot of it is the fact that as soon as the phone is ringing, we are answering it as quick as humanly possible. But don't get me wrong, I would say at least half of that increase is strictly because of being very, very intentional with the follow-up game. And I'm interested to hear from you guys as well. Let me know down in the comments down below, what is your experience with tracking leads, keeping track of your leads, keeping track of previous customers that you service? And do you know roughly how much in sales, or what percentage of sales have come from either A, past clients that you've been able to bring back, or even just simply going back into your previous leads from days, weeks, or even months ago and just simply following up with them relentlessly? And if you're still watching at this point, just wondering, well, who the heck is this guy? My name is Griffin Thomas, and I own the company you see here, Preferred Pest Management, in the Dallas, Texas area. We've been in business for about 5 years now, and the content that I started posting about this business specifically started a few years ago when a bunch of people loved the video that I posted about how I took my business from 0 to 6 figures in my first year. And I just continue to document that entire journey until we hit 7, 8, 9, however many figures that we end up hitting. I show you the good, the bad, the ugly, things that cost me a lot of money, things that make us a lot of money. And I try to be as much of a teacher and just transparent for you guys as possible. I try to tell everybody, look, if you go watch this playlist on my channel, it will help you save so much money. It'll save you so much time. So if any of that interests you, or you think it may interest you, go ahead and subscribe. And I'll make sure to put a playlist right here for you guys to get started watching as well. And lastly, if you know somebody that could benefit from the video, do me a favor and share it with them. There should be a share button down below as well for you guys.